Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today we are looking at punches. I do love a punch. And this is the Cloud Punch, which is in the mini catalogue. And it just punches out a cloud, which is rather nice. And I thought that we would do something a little bit different with it, but still keeping it very simple. So we are going to use some designer series paper. Really doesn't matter what paper you use. I'm using the new, what is it? Friendly Hello, which is in the Celebration catalogue, and you can get the paper and a stamp set if you spend in my shop. So, you know, have a look over there. You can have a look at those, but any paper will do. And what you're going to do is you are going to, so this is my card base, which is a sheet of cardstock folded in half, scored in half, cut in half, that gives you your base. Then I have taken the first piece is going to be, it worked out 1/4 inch smaller. The next one, I decided that I would do it, so 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So these ones come 1/4 inch smaller. And this one happens to come 1/2 inch. So you can do it 1/4 or 1/2, it really doesn't matter. But what you're doing is you're giving a nice background, which gives a bit of extra interest, and that's what we want. So some of these are called the triple time, where you can stamp on it and do things, but I'm keeping it plain because I want it to be a sort of a Valentine's. I think I'm doing a few videos of stamp sets that would work for Valentine's. And as I say, this is going to go into the center. Now I'm going to take the punch, and because we are not going to be able to see these in here, I am going to cut out 2, and I'm just going to work out where there's sort of pretty bit of flower in there, so that one would be quite nice there. So I'm going to do one that way, and because this paper is really sort of not directional, I can do one in a different direction, and as long as I have the flower sort of up a bit, it's not going to matter which way it comes. So this can come up to the top like that, and I'm just going to put that in. Okay, so those are my 2, but it really doesn't matter because it's not going to show when I put it down onto the cardstock. It's exactly the same as when I do mounts and things. I always try and cut it out. So you're not wasting your paper. You're actually using it for more than one thing. Okay, so what we then need to do is we're going to do 3 for this. So I need to take just let's just take a scrap of, or another piece of card. That's one that I don't want to use in there. That's one that I've already cut up to use something. Let me see if I've got a scrap piece here. That's one that I've got. I'm looking for scraps, but I might have to use one I've already cut down. This will work. So what I'm going to do is I want to have one that I'm going to have my sentiment on, and rather than cutting it and then trying to fit it on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I want this to be as I say, something that you can sending lots of love today and each day after. I think that that's a lovely one that will work for a Valentine's or a just because. I'm very much a just because one, so that, you know, if you want to send somebody a bit of love, just send them a just because. So we're going to, I think I'm going to do it in black. I could do it in a paler colour, but I do want the words to stand out quite well. So I'm going to do this in black. So this is just done in Memento ink. And I'm going to just stamp it out like this. Sending lots of love today and each day after, which, as I say, will go for any style of card, go for anybody, any range. Oh, excuse me, I knew I was going to sneeze then. But yes, will work for anybody, not only just for Valentine's. So, you know, if you're just sending a just because card, this will work quite well. So now we're going to take our punch and we're just going to put it where we think it will work the best for this. So we can have it wherever we want, really. And I'm just going to put it, I think about there will work. So we've got sending lots of love today and each day after. Now I want to make this quite, I can put dimensionals on it, but an easier way and a way that doesn't necessarily use lots of dimensionals is to use some heavy cardstock. So I'm just looking to see if I've got some scraps of heavy cardstock, and if not, I can just cut out a few of these. So I'm just going to take this in on here. Take one that way. Take one that way. So that'll do for that. Let's have a look and see. Got some more here. So I'm literally just using up odd bits and pieces of scrap that I've got just to give myself some bulk. If you've got, as I say, if you've got heavy cardstock, or even if you've got a piece of the board that comes with, so in fact, let me have a look and see. I can do it on this. When you get designer series paper or pattern paper, you always get some card in at the back, and these work really well. So I'm not even going to take it out that far, but just as a little tip for you, don't throw those pieces away, because if I go and just cut 3 out, 2, 3, that will give me a little bit more stability. And you can cut as many out as you want, depending how much you want. And it's one of the things that, as I say, you can put it on dimensionals, but if you want that solid base, it works quite well. Okay, so let's start putting some of these pieces together. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it onto, now let me have a look at, these are the 3 that I've just cut out, because these, you can feel that they're quite stiff. So I want them to be on the side that's not as shiny, but just make sure that you put, I use wet glue because it does allow the wiggle room to be able to get it on, and then it can sit quite nicely in on that position, and it gives you quite a bit of height on it. So I'm actually going to do a couple of these ones as well, because I want quite a bit of height on this. So just take one of these. So you can build it up with just normal cardstock and just build 3 or 4 layers, or as I say, you can use the back of a designer series paper, some cardboard, anything like that. You know, sometimes junk mail comes and you've got quite a bit of room on that. So I'm just doing, so we've got 1 layer like that, and then I've got 2 layers of card, and I'm just putting that in on top like that and making sure that they are completely level. So that gives me quite a good height. Okay, so we're going to do the other one as well. I need to do it on, so we've got 2 of these. Let's put these ones together. Pop this one in here. It's a nice shape as well, the cloud. It's quite an easy one to just pop together. You don't have to worry about it too much. And then we've got this one, which just needs to go in on top of here. Like that. And say, make sure you've got it exactly up to the edges before your glue dries, because if you get it a little skew whiff, then you get sort of a almost like the pattern on the outside of this this card. You get that sort of layered look, which you don't want. You want a really straight edge on it. Okay, so that's number 2. And then this one, I'm going to have it, it's going to be just one lower, which is fine because I'm not I'm going to put one in on top of the other so that the top one can be just a little bit lower. So again, make sure that what you've inked has dried, because again, it's a small piece, so you're actually going to be putting your fingers on where the words are, so make sure that that's dried nicely before you do, which it has. Okay, so let's look at this and put these pieces together. So I've got my card base. I've got this piece which is going to go in first. So I just need to make sure that that is nice and level. Okay, then I've got my next white piece, and as I say, you need to do it between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, literally just whatever you've got in your pieces. And I think, as I say, this one is 1/4 inch, probably could have been 1/2, but when you've got all of the pieces layered up together, it really doesn't matter that much. As long as they're even, you can have them in different layers. You know, sometimes we'll do 1/4 inch mat, and then we'll have a little 1/8 inch on our sentiment. So, you know, don't worry about it too much, but just make sure you've got some reasonable increments between one piece and the other. So I'm just putting this one on. But it's a very simple card to make, but it does look quite nice when you've got some layers and things in there. You need a bit of extra interest with the punch. So we are going to put one on here at the top, and then one down at the bottom, and then we're going to have this one in the middle. Now, what I can do is you can leave it like that, or we can just sponge around the edges to just give a little bit of definition. So I've got my sponge daubers out. I just need to have a look and see what ink. I think it's Pool Party, but you always have on the back what the paper is. Granny Apple Green, Petal Pink, Pool Party. Okay, so I need to bring my Pool Party out. I think it might. Okay, so I've got Pool Party, and I've also got Calypso Coral, but I think, sorry, Coastal Cabana, but I think I'm going to go with the Pool Party. I just need a sponge dauber in the right colour. So I've got a set, I collected them all and have got a little case thing that I've got them all in. So let me have a look and see. I can't see where pool party is. I think I've probably used it for something else. Let's get this one. There's not a huge amount of ink on here. Just make sure that's okay. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want it all over here, but what I do want is I want it round the edge. So I'm just literally going round the edge here, because this will then make the side the same. And what you could do is you could do it in you know, pool party cardstock or something, but you'd still have that the top layer that would need to be done round. So just making sure that it just goes all the round on the side, and then we'll put it down and see, because we might. So if I put that down like that, you can see that there is a, it just takes that starkness off just the edge. But as I say, I don't want it to come over the pattern and for it to be overly sponge. So I'm literally making sure that I just take it right the way round on the edge part. I don't want it coming over the top at all, because it'll detract from it being quite pale and subtle, and that's what I wanted. So that's that one. And this one I've got to be even more careful with, because again it's going to be a different colour to the actual cardstock. So I'm just making sure that I'm just going round just on the edge. So right the way in on the edge and not coming over the edge too much. And this is where, when you use a sponge dauber, it works quite well, because you've got more control over it. And I use mine on my finger. I'm of a generation that used to do, and still does, a lot of sewing and mending and darning and things, and you'd have a thimble on your centre finger, so I can use that really well, as I would use a thimble for sewing. So that's the way I use it. And then all we've got to do is to put these on. So I am going to, the easiest way of doing this, because they are very tight to the edge, is I'm going to do each one first. So again, it means you don't have to use any dimensionals, because this is going to lie completely flat. So I'm going to put this one on first and just leave a tiny little smidgen at the bottom, because there's not a huge amount of room with this. So that's the first. The top one then is going to go at the top. So again, I want to make it nice and level, but I want the same, that tiny little piece up, and pop this in on the center like that. So that's both of those done. And then this one is going to go in on the center, and it will literally just fit in between. So just need a little bit of wet glue on there, and then this one is literally going to tuck in between like that. Okay, and then if I want to make sure that I've got it stuck down nicely, I can turn it over and just give it a smooth out. Okay, so there's our card, which you can see you've got lots of lovely depth in on there, but it doesn't stick up with dimensionals. It's very simple, it's very sort of classical, but I think looks very pretty. So again, a card to send to anybody, sending lots of love today and each day after. You could put some ribbon on there, you can put some embellishments if you want to, but the basic bones of the card are like that, and I think it makes for a very pretty card. So thank you so much for watching me. As always, please stay safe and well, please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.